Hey, what's up, guys? Sam here. And I'll be doing the free video for Friday, July 5th, 2024. So, just wrapped up the premium video with the folks in the gold room. And we did what we always do, which is look at SPY, QQQ, DIA, IWM, the dollar, bonds, a little bit of VIX. And I'm going to bring you guys kind of the distilled version of what we saw. So, we're going to go a little bit faster than usual, but I don't think a lot of this really needs a deep dive, at least for now. And then I'd like to kind of go over a couple of stocks that are on my list to review next week. So let's start here with the SPY. Not a lot of changes week to week on SPY. The signals have been pretty clean here. You've had nothing but buy signals down here in this formation, and those signals have pushed you higher. You are now almost 3 ATR on the weekly chart. I do think there might be a little bit more to go, but it's one of those ideas where you have to hold two things in your head at once, where there's a little bit more upside, at least based on some longer term levels that I'm looking at, but we are also rather extended. So I've been using like the daily 5 EMA as a level, and as I sit here, it's if I look at SPX, it closed 55.66, and the daily 5 is 55.23. So it's about 43 points off of the daily 5 EMA, which is very much an aggressive entry point. So even if we were to open down 40 points on Monday, not really much would change. So that's the idea number one. You got to hold it in your head, right? And then idea number two is we're getting very close to some upper targets that I had, but we actually haven't hit them yet. So the upper targets here, the major one I would leave with you is 561.48. That's kind of a big one there. So 561.48. It's a long-term measurement from the COVID lows, and we may have a date with destiny with it. Aside from that, it's a max bull chart. It's very extended, but it's still very bullish. If we go to the QQQ, same thing, even more extended, well beyond its 3 ATR. On both the weekly and the daily chart. At that point, you can see the dash line is a 3 ATR. You're above both. Again, wildly extended, wildly bullish at the same time. It can handle a very deep pullback here and be completely fine. Frankly, it could pull all the way back to about 487 and be completely fine. So again, mind your risk here. I think what I told the folks in the gold room when we were looking at this is either you like the market at 3 ATR or you don't. But it is still bullish. If we go to the IWM, this was the one that I was looking to see if it could start punching sometime soon. And in usual IWM fashion, I expect nothing, and I'm still disappointed. So, fortunately, our trades have not been in IWM. Well, we did have one trade. We got out, where was it? We got out here. And we had to be really fast to make 25%. So it's just incredibly difficult to trade the IWM, especially when you have such easy trade in the Mag 7 stocks. And I think once we get into the stocks here, you'll start to see how easy they are. And I hate to use the word easy, but maybe a more accurate word would be clear relative to this. If you look at this chart, it's an ink blot test. You're going to see whatever you want to see on it. Some will see it bearishly, some will see it bullishly. In reality, there's just nothing here. You're just going to see what you want to see. So I'm going to leave the IWM in the bin where it belongs. Let me show you what I thought was something rather interesting that came up in the gold video, and that's the dollar. So you're starting to get some sell signals here in the dollar. And on my indicator, the sell signals have been very, very accurate on the dollar. So I do have to trust them. And there's an active sell signal that happened basically as of today, and you've broken a key level at 105.38.4 on the Dixie. So if this is all true, this is what gives the juice to keep going. So you have the high here, you have a lower high, that's a key part of it, and then in the same vein that the arrows have taken you up, taken you down, taken you up, well, they're attempting to take you down, right? Which is good. That would be a bullish sign. As a complement to the dollar bullish sign, we have HYG. So HYG is junk bonds. And in my opinion, the market cannot and will not top until junk bonds break down. It's just the credit market is significantly larger than the equity market. And as long as the worst part of the credit structure, which is HYG, continues to improve, I don't believe the market overall will top. So this signal is the juxtaposition against the dollar. Dollar down bullish, HYG up also bullish, and they're working in tandem here. So is this the most bullish chart I've seen? No, but the indicator does seem to like it. And because the indicator likes it, I'm not going to disagree with it for now. So if we start to get sell signals on this, we'll change our tune. But at least for now, going into next week, this was a constructive week for the junk bonds, and whatever the opposite of constructive is for the dollar, and that bodes generally well. So that's kind of the big picture stuff. Ideally, you start to see some rotation next week, but I wouldn't bank on it until you start to see price action that confirms that. So let me kind of look at a couple picks with you guys, because we didn't have time to do this in the main video, so figured we'll do it together here. So one of the more bullish ones here is Meta, and I'm kind of kicking myself because this thing gave me all of the opportunity in the world to get into it, and I completely ignored poor Meta. But Meta here, and again, I fully understand it's up 30 today. This is no small move. This is almost $1 trillion company moving, 6% a day. That's big. But you're trying to take the top off here. You're doing it on big volume. Your weekly squeeze is intact. Your daily squeeze is freshly fired. Any pullbacks here in Meta should be met with buying, right? And again, you can have a pretty deep pullback here and still be in completely good standing, but Meta off that weekly chart is still leaving a lot of potential to the upside. If we look at something like Amazon here, Amazon, same situation, right? Just different flavor of ice cream, same shop. So here on the Amazon weekly squeeze, max bull. So make sure that you have those two very high on your list. One that I was looking to buy, and I haven't pulled the trigger on it, but that's only because it's a little bit illiquid for my taste, and I want to try to finesse the entry as much as I can. It's something like Teradyne, TER. Right, you can see the signal there is just extraordinarily clean. So it is outside the Mag 7, and I do always have to question whether I want to trade anything that's not in the Mag 7, but in terms of signal quality, that's pretty much as clean as it gets. One that I actually do have a position in with the room is T-Mobile. So T-Mobile here, looking to see if we can get a breakout on this pattern. Been consolidating here for a bit after a big run. We've had some success in the room trading this. We actually got in a very nice entry on our first trades back here, and basically looking to trade the next squeeze up. So you can see there the squeeze histogram is a nice tick higher. It's in the XLC. XLC has been strong, and this ideally is going to be kind of a basing pattern here, and allows us to retest and kind of tickle these highs up here near 183. One that I completely whiffed on, but I'll bring it to you, and it's going to be on my radar next week. And it's a little bit unacceptable that I whiffed on this because I've had such good trades in Costco this year. One of which I told you guys about was right here, where I was buying it. And I was like, surely it can't make a new all-time high. And then it went on to make a huge all-time high. So very nice pattern there on the Costco. Similar pattern. Wow, $70. I didn't expect that. Similar pattern here in Walmart. So half dozen of one, whatever the saying is. You get the same pattern on both. So Walmart and Costco companion stocks, almost identical patterns. One trade we had in the room together was Crowd. Was a little bit unlucky on this one because I got in, and then the very next day got a downgrade, which kind of put a rock in its shoe a little bit. But and I did take the trade off in the room today just because it would have expired next week. So we made a base hit on it. It wasn't a huge trade or anything, but we made a bit of money. We got paid to try essentially. But I actually do still have a personal position here in crowd, and I'm looking for over 400 by the monthly expiration, with some targets up there right around 420. So the pattern here hopefully is pretty clear. Basically what I'm looking for, just to keep it simple as we go through these charts, or if you choose to rewatch the video, I'm looking for things that have near a max bull score, ideally a max bull 50, just like this, and has a squeeze. And so crowd definitely qualifies. Another name that we have in the room that I just certainly did not expect to have this big of a day is AMD. We actually have this. We have a trade on this one. We put it on the day before the holiday, and didn't quite expect for AMD to have this much kick, but I'll take any kick I can get. This one's a little bit more difficult to describe, just because I just told you that I'm looking for max bull 50s with a squeeze. So what am I doing trading a neutral 6 with a squeeze? And the answer is it's complicated. The answer is it's complicated. So maybe stick with the max bulls for now. But basically, just in a nutshell, this looks a lot like the Tesla pattern to me, right? There's a lot of stocks that kind of have this. There's a lot of stocks that have this kind of basing structure to them, where you have the low here, you have a higher low there with a common high right about there, right? So if you can take the top off of this, you'll have a very nice run into earnings. And AMD does tend to run into earnings quite well. So we do have a trade in this in the room, and we're doing just fine on that. Something that I bought today, just a nibble, because again, the indexes are so extended, but it is a trade that I think is worth of my time, is PanW. So I had caught a trade on this one here, and I sold it at 41. And I'd been waiting for a point to get back in. That was a hell of a move. And it's just been consolidating sideways, right? You see how it's just been trading sideways? That's extremely bullish, because notice it's not even pulling back to the daily 8. It's just trading sideways and letting the 8, the moving average, catch up to it. So this is based off an hourly squeeze, and one that I actually added to today. And aside from that, I could give you more. Actually, you know what? Let's go back, because last week I covered CAT as an interesting trade. I still have this position. This isn't an official trade in the room, at least not by myself. And maybe it's a lesson to not put my name on trades that I have not alerted out in the room myself. But actually, nothing has changed here on CAT. Now, here's kind of the downside of it. Nothing has changed on CAT. So the good point is nothing has changed on CAT. The bad point is nothing has changed on CAT. And the longer that it trades like this and trades without making the move, the more likely it is not to work, right? So last week I pointed out kind of this inverted head and shoulders down here. And I did want to come back and cover it, because I did bring it to you as an interesting stock, but lesson learned is just bring you guys easy stocks, not interesting stocks. And frankly, it's still pretty interesting. Now, would I recommend it after being in it for a week? No. It trades like garbage. But in the event that industrials do start moving, maybe instead of looking at CAT, look at Honeywell. HON. That one at least has a much better pattern than CAT. So in the event that industrials aren't complete garbage next week, which I cannot guarantee they will not be, then Honeywell is actually a better play on CAT. But this pattern here that was identified is still actually in play. It's just, again, the longer it takes to do the move, the less likely it is to do the move. In the event that it does, leave an alert above 335. If it gets above 335, I think we get the 340 and then 350 from there. But literally every stock I've shown you before CAT is a much better setup, much better place to allocate cash. And if you have fresh cash to work, I would just keep CAT as an interesting observation, more so than anything, at least until it can get above 335. All right, good folks. Well, that is my time. I'm sure that there's a ton of stock setups that I missed, but I just wanted to bring you some that came up in the room that I thought were relatively clean. And what I'm looking for is weekly squeezes or 4-hour squeezes. So kind of just putting a cap on everything, because we did go through a lot of this very quickly, much more quickly than we do usually on these videos. is the indexes are wildly extended and at the same time wildly bullish. So you have to ask yourself on Monday, do you like the QQQ at 3 ATR or don't you? And if you don't, then you have to day trade. If you do, then anything goes. But we are seeing some bullish signs, primarily in the dollar, primarily in HYG, junk bonds, and interest rates in general. So that should be enough of a catalyst, or enough of that should give enough juice to continue the squeeze to the upside, given if those two moves continue in both the dollar and in rates. All right, good folks, that's my time. Leave us a comment, leave us a like, whatever you like. The comment does help us with the algorithm, so let us know what you did for the 4th of July, what you had for dinner. Anything you put down there in the comments certainly does help us, so if you found these videos helpful, then leave us a like, leave us a comment, and we'd appreciate it. Alright guys, we'll come back next week, see how everything settled up, and I'll catch you guys on Friday. Cheers. Hey traders, this is Sam with Simpler Trading. I want to thank you for watching today's video. Hopefully you found the information in it helpful. If you did, leave us a like, leave us a comment. It really does help us out with the algorithm. And if you want to see us trade live with our own real money and be part of the community, come and check us out at simplertrading.com.